Good evening, this is the Danin, and today I'm going to explain how the heart actually pumps blood using this model right here. So this model is essentially a heart. This is the superior vena cava and this is the pulmonary artery. So the deoxygenated blood enters the heart through the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. The difference is that the blood that comes from the superior vena cava comes from the upper body, which in this context is the entire body above the heart, while the inferior vena cava carries blood from the lower body or all of the body below the heart. And after getting pumped out of the heart, the deoxygenated blood exits through the pulmonary artery, from where it is taken to the lungs. So the blood enters through here, the superior vena cava, and it gets pumped out like this out of the pulmonary artery. And as we all know that when the pressure on the liquid increases, the level of the liquid increases as well. So that's how this works. Now the example I gave here is not the only blood transport that takes place in the heart. It also occurs from the pulmonary vein to the aorta, from which it is carried to the rest of the body. Now, it isn't that simple actually, because there are valves involved. Now, valves are essentially these things that are present in the veins and the heart that help to prevent blood from flowing backward. So let's start with the first example. The deoxygenated blood comes from the superior and inferior vena cava and is collected in the right atrium, which is one of the four chambers of the heart. Now the blood exits the right atrium through the tricuspid valve and enters the right ventricle, which it exits through the pulmonary valve and ends up in the pulmonary artery. Now the blood is then carried to the lungs, where gas exchange occurs and carbon dioxide in the blood is discarded and oxygen is picked up. So the deoxygenated blood becomes oxygenated because it has oxygen in it. Now the blood comes back from the lungs. This is oxygenated blood, mind you, through the pulmonary vein. Now remember, the blood is oxygenated. It's no longer deoxygenated. So the oxygenated blood enters the heart and collects in the left atrium, which again is one of the four chambers of the heart, and then enters the left ventricle through the bicuspid valve. And then the blood enters the aorta via the aortic semilunar valve, from where it is carried to the rest of the body via the aorta. Now, I know this is easier to explain with the 3D presentation of the heart, but if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to tell me in the comments. I will also leave a link in the description for how to make a model like this. It's actually pretty easy. It took me around 5 to 6 minutes. It's actually pretty cool.